pain. Conversation, champagne, the needle, the vein. I'm dying, my memory decaying each day, my future, a stillborn baby in my brain. Like a dog on a highway, I'm dying on my own. The vein is slit, the door is locked, I'm alone, and the narrator's not home. Have you ever wondered how one decision changes your whole life?
Yeah.
How did you end up out on the roadside like that?
Why did you pick me up?
Last night I fell asleep when I was driving. And I had a dream. I can't remember the first one. But then I had another dream. As if it had happened before. That I found you. But I got back into the car and I left you by the side of the road to die. Tell me where I can take you.
Take me where you're going.
I'm not going anywhere.
Great.
So, have you been blind since birth? Could you see things as a child?
Sometimes I think my childhood happened to somebody else.
How did you end up out on the roadside like that?
I'm an astronaut.
You're an astronaut. What kind of astronaut are you?
The kind that goes into space. So what do you do?
All right. So did you land on a planet, or did you just float around for a bit?
What do you write?
Poems.
I landed on Jupiter.
Jupiter. I sure it was Jupiter. I didn't know. I didn't read about that in the papers.
It wasn't in the papers.
Can I see your license, please, John? Now, I meet a lot of no-hopers in my profession. I always say to them, retire gracefully. I was a champion. 20 years on a losing team. Ping pong. Understand? Some people call it table tennis. I knew the manufacturers. Don't now, though. Life just passes you by like a Barbie doll floating down a urinal.
Do you still play? Ping pong?
Are you crazy? Do you think I've got time for recreation?
Ria!
I thought I saw something. I was part of a secret mission to place a nuclear facility on the thin crust of Jupiter. I was blinded during re-entry to Earth's atmosphere, stripped of all identity, and dumped beside the road like an animal. Jupiter. There's no color. Everything is black and white. Ultraviolet waves are washing over black flowers. A planet of ocean and sand. The wind tastes like mandarin. The waves radiate light towards the sky. Butterflies are weaving themselves around the light.
Butterflies.
The most untouched, beautiful place. You're speeding.
How can you tell?
I can feel it in my bones.
Get out of there. Parallax.
What?
Parallax.
What's that? Sounds like a disease. Oh, come on. Smile now. I remember this guy once when I was a kid. I used to work in his milk bar. And every day he'd come in and buy 8 loaves of bread. He was about 40, but he was slow or something. It's like he had the mind of a 10-year-old. Every time he'd come in, he'd go on about this bicycle that he wanted. He'd say, "Will it have a flag?" And I'd say, "Yeah, it'll have a flag." And he'd say, "And mudguards? I'll need mudguards. And what colour?" And I'd say, "Oh, blue's a nice colour." Anyway, before he'd leave the shop, he'd say to me, "Now, you'll keep hoping for me. You'll keep hoping that I'll get a beautiful bike." I'd say, "Yeah, I'll keep hoping."
Did he ever get the bike?
No. But I'm still hoping.
It's like you meet yourself as a child while walking through a field. Ultraviolet waves are washing over black flowers. The wind tastes like mandarin. The waves radiate light towards the sky. Butterflies are weaving themselves around the light. Butterflies.
I've got the strangest feeling. As if this has happened before.
Is it hard not being able to see? Can you read?
Of course.
Can you write?
I can write backwards, but I'm getting help for that problem.
You've seen things in space that no one's ever seen before. But now you can't see it all.
It's like you meet yourself as a child while walking through a field. Everything's so beautiful, so young and old. Every sense is heightened. It's as if insides become outsides, everything moving within itself. Rain-swept landscape, but the rain is so soft you can see through it like a veil. 10,000 voices singing in a memory. The waves radiating light. Butterflies fly through them, throwing shadows across the sky. Read me a poem you've written.
I haven't got a book.
You're a poet, and you haven't got a book of your poems. I mean, you must have a notepad or some rough scribbles. But you said you were a poet.
Yeah. I keep them in my head.
So how many are in your head?
All of them.
But what happens if you forget them?
I won't.
But everybody forgets something. I mean, how can you concentrate on oncoming traffic when you're driving around with all those poems in your head?
Because they mean so much to me. I remember you, don't I? The washing on the line is faded, its colour lost or drained. To a corner of the universe it was strained, where, upon a thin string, suspended in space, the black and white planet reveals its pale face.
You're lucky to be alive. My dog is dead.
What dog?
You killed it last night on the highway. I saw you hit
I
it.
wasn't driving last night. What's wrong?
Oh. I had this dream last night. We were driving on the road, and then suddenly a dog ran out. We lost control of the car. We crashed, and we died. Oh.
When you get to the right place with the right people, open this. You know this could be the right place.
Fortune cookie. I wish we met before you went to space. I wish we met before you went to space.
I would have just disappeared one day. You'd never have known what happened to me. I would have died out on the road. You wouldn't have saved me.
What do you value the most?
What do you value the most?
Come on, tell me. I'll tell you a story.
Love?
Love, that's too universal for a story.
Tell me a universal story then. How hard is it for you to tell me a story?
The radio. There's this guy. He's on death row. He's been there for 6 years. Now he's got 30 minutes before his execution. He sits there by himself, waiting. Waiting to die. Taking his fingers. The door to his cell opens. And his wife enters. He hasn't seen her for 6 years. This is the first time she's been to visit him. He embraces her, never wanting to let her go. He thought he'd never see her again. When he asks her why it's taken her so long to visit him, she says she's been thinking for 6 years. When he asks her what she's been thinking about, she says she's been thinking of him. She says she's brought him a present, that she brings a radio out of her handbag and places it on the table. She turns it on and plays the song they first made love to. They sit there talking, remembering how they met, fell in love. They kiss. Then she picks the radio up and holds it to her heart and moves very close to him. And she says, I love you. Then the radio explodes and kills them both.
Ria, something I have to tell you. I have an illness.
We looked skybound, silver spectacles. Rebecca said she could see a teenage retard waving to her from the rocket's porthole. Cinderella amongst the ashes. Some dispute of a T-shirt sales, and so Jesus Christ died. These rails are not safe. Fuck. My God. The preschool robots. The preschool robots are playing in the rain. Shit-stained curtains. Sometime in the future, two lovers wake up every morning, day after day, to stare out of the window at the bareness and the poison gale. Then one day, they notice a tiny flower growing out of the sand. So the next morning, he gets up very early while his wife is still asleep and sneaks out to pick the flower for her as a surprise, to give it to her as the most beautiful present. And when he reaches down to the flower, it is so beautiful that he can't bear to pick it. He is frozen and cannot move. Eventually, he runs out of air and dies. His wife looks up and goes to the window. She looks out to see him dead, and the flower is gone, because the flower was only a figment of his imagination.
Jupiter.
I didn't go. I made it all up.
Rhea, why are you saying that?
I have this sickness in my mind. It doesn't exist.
Oh, of course it exists. You've been there.
Everything I told you, it doesn't exist.
Oh, Rhea, cut it out. Come back to the car.
I never went to space. I created the whole thing inside my mind.
Rhea, you're not making sense. Come back to the car.
For God's sake, don't you understand? Why did you believe me?
Rhea! Fuck you, you blind bastard!
It was just something I needed.
Something you needed? What about the butterflies? What about the butterflies? Did you make that up too?
Don't I believe it too?
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! I should have left you by the side of the road. I found you.
grew bold and vanishing. Dancing lines emerged, covering the car as it hung on the verge of collapsing. Until the blast-off. What a perfect hoax. How I've longed to believe. I've remembered. I've loved. But my infinity is just a description of a disease which is killing me silently as it orbits the earth. There's no butterflies in this life.
Why does it keep changing the channel?
Told me he's been doing it for years. Now it's just habit, I guess. His father used to do it. Did him in the end. He was a fool unto himself.
I've been told I've been doing it for years. Now it's habit, I guess. My father used to do it. It did him in. In the end, he was a fool unto himself.
Life's great, you know. But death, well, dying seems so unnatural.
Yeah, death sucks.
Carol, tell the lawyers it's okay. Look, why don't we get together sometime? Go out for a coffee in Dunedin.
Mizell?
Hold on.
Mizell?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm talking.
It's not even plugged in. Who are you talking to anyway?
I don't know.
What does it say?
Mrs. Sponge.
Which one's bigger?
That one's bigger.
Look closer.
Why is she?
I've got the strangest feeling. As if this has happened before. Let's swap clothes.
Thank you.